Hi, my name is Matt Brown. I'm here to show you some of my ideas for how to add new textures to your old-time guitar playing for the key of A major. Now you might already know how to play down here, an A chord, a D chord, and an E chord, and maybe you have some great bass runs between them. And then of course, for those of you who have been playing for a little while, you might know that you can put your capo, move it from wherever it is, to the second fret and use your G shapes and use all the great ideas you know for G and C and D shape, but coming out in the key of A. This video is for those of you who already know both of those concepts. So years ago I came up with an idea that I've used a lot in jam sessions and in square dances, where I play my A chord up here some of the times, my D chord here, and my E major chord here. And I'm floating around mostly fifth position, a little bit of fourth position, and I'm able to use the open strings of the guitar, the outer strings of the guitar, and still get really nice bass notes. And I can do bass runs. I can even do some new chord voicings that are more sound a little bit more like Freddie Green and jazz guitar when isolated, but sound nice in context. So I want to show you my new A shape up here, and the D shape up here, and the E shape here, and the Freddie Green style first inversion A chord here, and the first inversion E chord down here, and then one bass run. And we're going to put that all together at the end and play along with a carbon copy of myself playing the fiddle. So here we go. The first chord shape that we're going to use is an A major chord in fifth position. And we just need 3 fretted notes to produce it. And the reason is, this is built out of the F shape that requires fingers on every single fret. This F major shape that many of us despise when we learn it is quite useful because you can move it around the neck. So down here it's F, here it would be G, up here at 5th fret in the 5th position. That would be an A chord, but we don't actually need all of that because the A major chord has an A and an E in it, and we have several strings that are tuned to A's and E's. So if we let go of anything that as an open string is either an A or an E, what we're left with is needing to fret on the 4th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. So those frets are 4th string, 7th fret. That's the note A, and I use my ring finger. And then moving on, I've got 3rd string, 6th fret. That's with my middle finger, and that's the note C sharp. And the last note of the chord that we fret is 2nd string, 5th fret, the note E. That's index or pointer finger. So I've got A, C sharp, E. They're all covered right in a row in a nice diagonal line. And my bass notes are going to be 5th string and 6th string. So 5 and then 6. Join in when you can. You'll notice those are the same bass notes that I use when I'm playing the more typical A chord down here. 5 and 6. Now, once that feels good, you're ready to try the D major shape. This is also going to be up in 5th position. So our D major notes are D, F sharp, and A, and they're all in a row. On the 3rd string, you're going to put down your ring finger on the 7th fret for the note D. And then on the 2nd string, right below it, you're going to squish your pinky in 7th fret for the note F sharp. And the last one we need is 1st string, 5th fret, with the index or pointer for the note A. The middle finger, or traffic finger as I call it, doesn't do anything at all except stay out of the way. So once those 3 fingers are down, you're going to alternate between strings 4 and 5. Try it. 4, 5, 4, 5. You'll notice, if you compare it to what we would do normally for old-time backup guitar, we would alternate between 4 and 5 down in this position. But the chord voicing has a different sound. Now feel free to stop the video or go back and use the YouTube settings to make it go slower if you need to. And once you're ready, we're going to put the A and the D together. So I'll count us in. Let's just do 2 measures of A, followed by 2 measures of D, and then we'll repeat. 1, 2, ready, go. A, and switch to D. Let's do one more pair, so 2 A's, and now 2 D's. Once you can do that as smoothly as transitions from here to here, you're ready to move on. Now, before we move on to any other chord shapes, I want to show you the bass run that I'm most likely to use to connect our A chord in 5th position with our D chord in 5th position. That bass run I used to always do down here when I played all my chords down there. Well, it turns out you can do it, the same notes, on a different string up here. So the notes are B, C, and C sharp. And they're played this way. On the 6th string, you're going to play 7th fret with the middle, 8th fret with the ring, and the 9th fret with the pinky. So that's B, C, C sharp. Once you get those in your fingers, B, C, C sharp, then we can try and put them into action. And what I'd like to do is just create a little example where we go A, and then walk, 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 D. Try it with me when you're ready. A right now. A. Walk, 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 D. Let's do it one more time. Ready, go. A. B, C, C sharp, D. Once you feel really good about that, you can move on to the next section where I'll show you an E chord and then an alternate chord shape that we can use for both the A and the E. All right, so it's time to learn our E shape. And this is a fun one. It's kind of a finger buster, but it's worth it. So what you're going to do is that. Got it? We've got pinky on the 5th string, 7th fret on the note E. Ring on the 6th fret of the next string on the 4th string. For the note G sharp. And then our index is on 3rd string, 4th fret for the note B. And then middle is on 2nd string, 5th fret for the note E. So we have frets 7, 6, 4, 5 on the middle 4 strings. And we have open E on the bottom and open E on the top. And it's a beautiful sound. Or you could go. Lots of different options with the bass alternation in this set of chord shapes. But let's start with the second one, actually. It's a little bit more typical. You're going to alternate between strings 6 and 5, which are both tuned to the note E right now. Well, one's tuned and the other's fretted. 6, 5, 6, 5. But I also do like the sound of 6, 4, 6, 4. So, all we need to do is put that into a fiddle tune with the other shapes, and you'll have a concrete example of how to put this together. But before we do that, I do want to show you an alternate voicing for the A chord and also the E chord, which helps put this all together. It just makes the transitions a little more satisfying to the ear, although it is a little bit more work for you as the guitar player. So, this is the same shape that we're going to use for both E and for A, and I stole it from the jazz world. There was this great jazz guitar player named Freddie Green who was known for playing in Count Basie's band, which was a big band, a huge band, actually. And because there were so many instruments going, what I've heard is that Freddie Green realized that he didn't have to play all 6 strings all the time. He could get away with just playing on a couple strings at once. And that might not seem all that applicable to old-time music, but there are moments where I think we can sneak it in and it sounds nice and not too risky or jazzy. Because all we're going to do is play an A major chord and an E major chord, which are definitely things that we do a lot of. So let's learn the E major chord first, since we just learned this version, which is a root position chord, meaning the E is the lowest note. Now we're going to learn a first inversion E major chord in the style of jazz guitar, swing guitar great Freddie Green. And it's going to sound like this. Or more likely, it looks a little weird, and it's a little bit of a stretch to the fingers, but it's worth trying. So I've got my 4th fret down on the low string, on the 6th string. So 6th string, 4th fret with my middle. And then I don't do anything with the 5th string except mute it carefully with that finger. So that's the note G sharp on the bottom. I skip the 5th string, and then I have the note E on the 4th string, 2nd fret with my index. And then the last one is I have the note B in my ring finger on the 3rd string, 4th fret. So I have 4th fret, nothing, 2nd fret, and then 4th fret. But the cool thing about this for the E is that if you also play open 2nd string and open 1st string, you get 2 more notes of an E sound, and it maintains this common thread with this video today of adding open strings that create resonance and kind of ring the guitar a little bit more than, or at least differently than. That sounds great. It sounds really good. But this also sounds really nice, and so does this. So those are our 3 old-time E major sounds on the guitar that I like to use. So you've got this shape for the E. It's called first inversion because we've moved the root from the bottom of the chord, and now the 3rd of the chord is the lowest note. We've inverted the chord once. Well, this same shape that we're using right this second for E, you can slide all the way up to 7th position and use this as an A chord, because up here it's C sharp, and then A, and then E. So I've got my middle finger on the 9th fret of the 6th string for the note C sharp. I don't do anything on the 5th string except mute it. I've got my index finger on 4th string, 7th fret for the note A, and then my ring finger is on the 3rd string, 9th fret for the note E. So for this one, I sometimes let myself play the 2nd string and the 1st string open, but that gets a little more new age sounding than a lot of people want for their old time music. So it might be better to actually mute strings 1 and 2, or just not even get the pick down there. So you're probably wondering, why would you ever do this? Here's why. I'm in my A chord in 5th position. That's a nice progression up to either this sound or this sound. I'll do both. So I'm going to do A. So this is the root position A that we learned. Here's the first inversion, D. So we hear the bass note go A, C sharp, and then D. It's a very nice bass movement. Or if you need to go from A to E, you can go A, first inversion, and there's your E chord. So the bass movement is from A to C sharp to E. And that sounds nice too. And then the first version that I showed you of this first inversion chord was an E inversion. Well, I sometimes like to mix and match between these shapes I've showed you today and the ones that I learned years prior. So I might use this version of the E chord to go from the first one I ever learned that sounds so good up to 5th position and get back into these variations that we're doing. So if I'm playing some generic fiddle tune, it goes along in A, and then I have to go to an E. I might go down here. Oh, that's satisfying. But then I want to go back up. And that single motion gets me about halfway between here and here. So it's a lot of information. Feel free to pause this video, rewatch it, send it to your uncle, your dog walker, your first grade teacher. And then when you're ready, if you move on to the last portion of the video, I'm going to play a fiddle tune on my fiddle and accompany on the guitar, first with just these kind of shapes. But then the second time through, I'm going to be up here. And using all the shapes and runs that I showed you today. Let's wrap up by playing Fire on the Mountain together. This is a version from Isom Monday, who was an extraordinary old-time fiddler from Kentucky. I recorded this with the help of Beverly Smith on guitar and Paul Brown on banjo on my very first album called Lone Prairie, which we recorded in 2005, which is 15 years ago from the moment that we're recording this now. And I also have a YouTube video of me playing this solo from a couple years back, but now we can play it together. And the first time through, I'm just going to play typical A major things down here, like when I first learned guitar I would have done. And then for the second time through, I'll be up in 5th position and 4th position for the E. And then just combine, I'll mix and match after that. If you're curious to look at the chord progression, I'll put a link to it in the description to this YouTube video. Enjoy playing along. Feel free to jump to this section as many times as you'd like and play along as many times as you'd like. And of course, you can slow down or speed up the video if the tempo isn't great for you. Just use that icon that looks like a wheel on your YouTube app or the website to speed it up or slow it down as needed.